front of us. We're good. All right, I want to apologize to those who showed up to have the board meeting at 9 o'clock, but we tricked you into coming to a committee meeting instead, so.
That's good, though.
Yeah, we'd really like to have participation in the committee, so that's good. We have the TDC minutes from January 15th that we need to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, did you get that? Second.
Either one, I don't care.
Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, do we have any people here for public comment? We don't have any cards. We need to get, okay, great. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lee Davis. I'm the Arts and Culture Outreach Manager with Creative Pinellas. I want to share two things of information with you today. First of all is the glass. Our next exhibit coming to the gallery at Creative Pinellas is Glass in the Gallery and Gianella in the Gardens. This is a collaboration between the Florida Botanical Gardens and the gallery at Creative Pinellas. So we'll have internationally known glass artists in our gallery, and then we'll have sculpture in the gardens. Many of you remember when the Gulf Coast Gallery Art Museum was in the property, and there was sculpture all throughout the grounds. So we're excited to have a revisiting of that. This event opens March 6th, so we invite you all to our opening reception and runs through April 19th. The other thing that I want to share with you is we have updated information from the Pinellas County Economic Development Department around the impact of the arts and the creative economy in Pinellas County. I will leave some of these flyers with you, but I just want to mention the fact that the arts and the creative industry is a $1.96 billion economic impact on our county. It represents 3.5% of Pinellas County's workforce. So I will share this information with you. Thank you for all the work that you are doing to increase the arts and culture in our county.
Do you have enough to just,
I do, yes.
Great.
Yes, I will.
thank you. All right, does anybody else like to address the board? Okay.
Thanks, Lee.
Elite Funding Program, Tim.
Good morning.
We can pass them.
We have a couple of house cleaning items here on the elite event guidelines that we would like you to review and for your consideration in advance. Go to page 2. And Michael Zoss, please weigh in here on the concern, and we're always bringing learnings every year from both the elite event process as well as capital funding. So one of the learnings from this past funding cycle was the fact that we needed to probably clarify the fact that funds are not to be used for operating expenses of an event per se. So the language that you see there in subsection 3A is basically to clarify that funds, to the extent that they are used to purchase sponsorship assets, could be used for operational expenses, but otherwise they must be allocated for the marketing. So that's one change we're suggesting we make to the guidelines. Any questions
Can
on
you say that again, Tim?
We clarified in section A there the fact that funds may not be utilized towards operating expenses. We further clarified it to say, to the extent that part of the funding goes towards sponsorship assets that we get from the event, they can use those funds freely. The portion of the funding that goes towards marketing has to be committed to marketing.
We had quite a bit of confusion around, well, specifically around the MLK parade this year, because they wanted to spend the money that they thought they were asking for sponsorship on hotel rooms to bring the bands in, which is a big part of the parade. So, and they were told they couldn't. So they were having a problem because it's a very small operation. And really, the sponsorship applies to small operations that don't have staff and can't do a whole lot of marketing, but are considered marketing opportunities for us. You know, it's kind of in reverse. So, does that make sense? I mean, they bring in, what, 25,000 people for a 2-hour parade, and we get to do our marketing there.
Just to clarify, Tim, that was 4A, correct?
Oh,
Sorry, 4A, my
4A.
my apologies, yep. Page 2,
I'm still learning my Roman numerals, so I
and I can't read my Roman numerals.
Still have a hard time with that with the Super Bowl thing.
Exactly.
But, okay, any other questions about that? We need to approve that, right?
I have another one if you want
Oh,
to take
okay.
them together.
Great.
The second one is, and it's grouped in together here, this is page 4. This is section 5C. Again, this is housekeeping. This is not a substantive change. What we did is to combine the marketing and media plan points. That's the way we have it set out in the application. So last year, when the committee was reviewing it, there was some confusion then as far as allocating of those points. So we've corrected this to match what the application process is like, and then clarified the fact that we have sponsorship benefits that are really the on-site benefits. Again, nothing substantive here. This is just language that cleans it up and basically aligns the guidelines with what the actual application process is.
So this changed the application a little bit, so it's clearer what they're asking for.
It's consistent now with
Okay.
these changes, so.
Okay, good. All right, so this body needs to approve these things, is that right?
Yes.
I need a recommendation
A
to
recommendation
advance it
at
for
least.
BCC approval.
Okay.
So move.
Second?
Did you get that? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
One
Oh, sorry.
one other item with this. We've talked about it before. Our tourism plan allows for up to $2 million to be spent on this elite funding. And I think the most we've ever spent is 1.5 to 1.6 million in any given year. This year, we're only about 900, less than a million, less than half. We changed the guidelines a few years back and made them more stringent. Now, I'm the first guy that doesn't want to have every weekend festival in Pinellas County supported by elite, but I think we're making it very difficult for applicants. We're asking we're asking for 10,000 room nights and 20,000 unique visitors to show up for an event to get 75,000. The 10,000 room nights at our average daily rate of 150 plus represents $90,000 in tourist development tax. So it's a great return on investment, but it's almost too good. I don't think there's anything that we do that we expect more than 100% of our tourist development tax to be returned by that event or by that, whatever that project is. And in view of how much we spend on capital and what we ask in return for that night, it's grossly out of whack, in my view. In the category 3, we're asking for essentially $45,000 in bed tax to be returned to get a $25,000 grant for participation. So I would like to, in the future, take a look at this and possibly lighten the requirements and attract a few more worthy events and allow us to support those and maybe grow some new ones that are out there that are looking and saying, well, we don't qualify. You know, I think we're missing something there, possibly. I think we might want to address that because I think that asking for more than 100% return on investment is a little steep. I will remind everybody that we did change it from that category 2, I believe, was 15,000 attendance and 5,000 room nights. Or 5,000 room nights. When we changed this, we increased everything and we combined them, so you had to have both as opposed to one or the other. And again, I'm all for, because I've been here a long time, I've been through the whole new product development years where we had a lot of small festivals that really weren't bringing tourism. They were just a local community event. But we've got some that are of medium size that could be helped and could be furthered in their operations if given the chance and the opportunity by loosening these up just a little bit.
What does everybody else think?
I don't know if that falls in this year or not, based on,
Did this not go down partially because we changed during Chairman Long's,
you know, what,
that the amounts and also that they kind of sunset, isn't it?
that never made it all the way through the BCC.
Didn't.
However, the categories did change. The category 2 used to be, I believe, 100,000, and it was reduced to 75. The category 1 was it 200, Tim?
250.
250. You know, and now it's 125, so we cut that in half. So just, my point is, in our plan, we plan on spending $2 million on helping these local events that are bringing some heads and beds and support a community. And we're not spending but half that right now. And I think the reason is because we've tightened up so much that it's hard to qualify for it. So I think maybe somewhere in between.
Sure. I think the recommendation would be, this program usually launches in March or April, and we're right at the front door of that. So if it's acceptable to you, I would suggest that we come back with some more information and have a workshop this summer with the idea of adjusting it for next funding cycle. We're going to wait on, obviously, the Board of County Commission to vote on these changes now so that we can then open up the process for this spring.
That's fine.
Okay. But yeah, I understand what you're,
Yeah.
these are your policies, you know.
Yeah. My point is asking for more than 100% of return on investment when we don't ask for that anywhere else. Seems a little steep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, let's put that on the agenda. Maybe,
Got it down?
would that be appropriate to bring to the marketing committee or the finance?
Tim, in the past, there's a group that gets together and looks at all the guidelines
Elite funding committee?
for elite. We haven't,
We did it as an entire TDC.
okay,
Yeah, we
All
would
right.
workshop it as
All right.
for the entire TDC.
okay,
yeah.
good.
Okay,
Makes that easy.
great. Okay, we have a presentation on the 2021 Super Bowl.
That's good. Yeah.
Madam Chair, do you want to take a vote on the motion?
Do we, did we not?
I had a motion and a second, and then we had the discussion.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
No, I thought we voted. Okay.
Yeah, we,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay. 2021 Super Bowl.
As, Mr. Higgins is coming up to the podium. Rob is the president CEO of the Super Bowl host committee. I mean, I think he's a familiar face here with this group, having been involved in not only the college football championship, but also some other major sporting events in the area. So I'm excited to with what the big game's going to have for us in 2021, and more particularly, I think how we can get visibility of having the eyes of the world upon this area. So, Rob, welcome. And
Thank you, guys. I think somebody mentioned Roman numerals. I thought that was my cue, but I guess I'll start now. Again, my name's Rob Higgins. I'm president and CEO of the Tampa Bay Super Bowl LV Host Committee. I've got a quick video to help kick things off, give you a little bit of the flavor of the history of the Super Bowl here in our region.
Four Super Bowls that no one will ever forget.
Raymond James Stadium in Tampa.
And the Lombardi Trophy will go to the Los Angeles Raiders.
Oscar will throw. Touchdown. The 50, down the sideline, and he's going to go. Throws to the back of the end zone, and it is caught for a touchdown.
This isn't a story about how far we've come as a community. This is a story about where we are going. Together, we're headed forward forever.
Couple of quick things. First and foremost, you heard a line in that video that said, this isn't a story about how far we've come, it's a story about where we're going. And I can tell you, just as we've started to have the NFL and their stakeholders here just starting to plan and build the overall game plan. It's been amazing to hear from them, so many of them that haven't been to our region since 2009. And they're blown away by the growth of it. You think about the transformation here in Pinellas County, you think about the transformation throughout the region. It's such a unique story to tell. But together, as the video also referenced, this is a unique showcase opportunity to preview our region's next chapter as well. And so that's the goal, that's the hope. Leverage this showcase opportunity to the best of our ability with our collaborative spirit, like we've never done before. This is our 5th Super Bowl. I think it speaks to the region's teamwork and collaborative spirit as well, that only 3 communities have hosted more Super Bowls than right here in our region. When it comes to these big events, we need them to check 3 boxes in a very big way. We need the economic impact, the social impact, and then the marketing visibility. So I'll touch on those really quickly from a Super Bowl standpoint. First, economic impact. The game attendance usually varies somewhere between 60 and 70,000 people. Recent cities have projected that impact to be somewhere in that $400 to $450 million range. We don't get into those type of economic impact projections. We focus on a couple of key metrics or variables. First, hotel visitor room nights, and second, airport data. We know if somebody is flying here and they're staying here, they're spending money here. How much money they're spending, that's a little bit debatable, but we know we can track those hotel visitor room nights and then those airline passenger seats as well. We're conservatively projecting the Super Bowl 55 to do around 100,000 hotel visitor room nights. You can see some of the numbers that previous recent cities have done and have claimed after the fact. And then you can also see from an airport impact standpoint, both on the private side and the general aviation side, the numbers truly are staggering. One thing I would reference too in terms of social impact, we're really focused on making sure we have events that leave a legacy in our region like never before. And that's something that the Super Bowl will do. Later on this spring, we'll unveil our Forever 55 initiative, which will be a $2 million commitment into the community through a handful of key pillars. If you look at the recent College Football Playoff National Championship back in 2017, which you'll hear me reference a few times, that event had a big impact on the 3 surrounding counties here, on Pinellas, Hillsborough, and Pasco. It was actually a $1 million contribution into our local school system from that event. And the contribution went so well that a year after Clemson was crowned as the national champion in January of 2017, the College Football Playoff came back and it contributed another $200,000. Again, the commitment here from a Super Bowl standpoint is $2 million spread across these 3 counties. And then third, I talked economic impact, social impact, and then the marketing visibility. You know, with over 100 million viewers, certainly it's a showcase opportunity. When you look at nearly 6,000 credentialed media that'll be on the ground here, communicating back to every corner of the globe in terms of their experience right on the ground here in our region, it truly is a unique opportunity when it comes to visibility as well. Another great opportunity, in addition to welcoming the media, is welcoming the NFL corporate partners. They have 35 global brands that come and activate around the Super Bowl in a really big way. But it's not just an opportunity to work with them for that week, if you think about it, because they're entertaining their own constituencies and stakeholders, and this is a lot of what their showcase opportunity is, to take care of clients and host them in a really big way and activate around the Super Bowl. It's a chance to work with them for really this 12-month run. And so we want to make sure they have an awesome experience right here in the region, and they truly enjoy their time here, and give them a reason to come back and visit our community, whether it's to vacation or to do business in the future. We wanted to give you just a flavor in terms of ROI on that last partnership opportunity we had together with the College Football Playoff National Championship when it came back in 2017. Your investment on that event was $650,000. to speak to that ROI, you can see some key stats and metrics as you compare year over year. For example, the night before the college football playoff national championship, there was 133% revenue increase in your hotels here. You have to go back 4 years in terms of ADR and RevPAR to hit some of the increases that we're seeing, and then probably one of our favorite stats related to it as you compare it year over year, there was a $4.5 million revenue increase in Pinellas County hotels when you look at that compared to the previous year. So again, off of a $650,000 investment, we felt like that was a pretty strong ROI for the county. When you look at Super Bowl 55 in terms of the way the host committee operates and how we fulfill our bid obligations to the NFL and how we were awarded in an effort to bring our community's 5th Super Bowl here, it truly is a private-public partnership. So in terms of the public sources that have already been committed as part of it, our state Florida Sports Foundation has contributed $1.5 million. That's about double what they did last time in 2009. Visit Tampa Bay has contributed $1 million. Our Tampa Bay Sports Commission has contributed $1 million. Our city is covering the in-kind city services that'll take place in and around that fan experience and stadium campus. And then our Hillsborough County TDC has contributed $3 million as part of it. So all in all, that's about $6.5 million of public funding that's been committed at this point. But it is a huge private sector lift as part of it. Back in 2009, with our host committee, we had about 15 corporate partners as part of it. To give you a sense of how we bring together a lot of teamwork from a private sector now, and that with the College Football Playoff National Championship, we had 96 private partners. So you went from 8 years prior having 15 to then escalating up to 96 to be able to meet the needs of the overall event. We do anticipate roughly about 2/3 of the overall host committee event budget will be from the private sector. In terms of the requests of this group, I would say really at this point in time, it's threefold that we'd love for you to consider. First, we want to continue to work through Visit St. Pete Clearwater to maximize the hotel room inventory that's included in the NFL official block. The more rooms that we're able to actualize as part of that for the NFL stakeholders and their corporate partners, the more we can keep them here in this region and not staying further away, which then opens up ourselves to criticism from a standpoint of like more traffic, more travel time to be able to get to the key events. Naturally, we want to work with you guys on what programming can be hosted here and throughout the region as part of it. There's a lot of different events. It's so much more than one game. You know, it's a week-long run of events. Literally, there's NFL signature events, and then there's probably 150 to 200 unsanctioned parties as part of it that come to the Super Bowl region each and every year. So to be able to work with you guys and showcase the region as part of that is really important. And then naturally, we'd love some investment in terms of contribution as well. We're asking for $1.5 million. Last time in 2009, the contribution from the Pinellas County TDC was $750,000. So we certainly understand it's substantially more. It is double, which is in line with the other public investments that I outlined previously. In terms of a quick hit list, I referenced a few of these, but I certainly wanted to point them out before I open it up to any questions. We just were down in Miami a few weeks back, had a great collaborative promotion with Visit St. Pete Clearwater in terms of getting the media excited. We were in the media center with both the fans and media to start to tell the story of what to expect a year from now. We thought that went really well, and naturally we'll continue to parlay that as best as possible. Our Business Connect initiative is a phenomenal initiative with the NFL that's basically geared towards playing matchmaker between the NFL signature event spending and then our small business community. It's basically geared towards minority-owned, female-owned, LGBTQ-owned, and veteran-owned businesses. The deadline was just this past Friday. We were blown away by the number of businesses that have registered. Last count that I saw from a Pinellas side of things was over 130 businesses, but I haven't seen the final tally yet. But we're excited to have several Pinellas small businesses to be a part of that. Forever 55, I walked you through. Again, that is spread out across the 3 surrounding counties, and we're excited to have the social impact take place as part of that. Host committee inclusion, naturally, the planning is really starting to ramp up now. We love that Steve from Visit St. Pete Clearwater can serve on our host committee and help from a leadership standpoint, provide a lot of great insight. Broadcast set and beauty shot locations, the networks are starting to come in now. I referenced all the media that are a part of the event, and they're starting to scout their locations. Naturally, we want to arm them with the absolute best locations as possible as they send those postcards back via national TV and a lot of different outlets to their corners of the globe, as I referenced before. We, in fact, have a network coming in next week that's coming to take a look at and scout out locations for where their potential sets could be located. Event programming, I already referenced, and then naturally the key is also from an overnight stay standpoint, continuing to maximize that block and get as many people as possible to stay here in Pinellas and stay within the region so that their experience is the absolute best it can be. With that, I'll come up for air. Would love to entertain any questions you may have.
No question. Oh,
The funding request, I noticed it showed, I believe, TDC in Hillsborough was committing $3 million, and Visit Tampa Bay was committing $1 million. So that TDC commitment is separate from, because you're funded by TDC
it's
dollars,
separate.
right?
Yeah, it is. It's separate. It's not included in the $3 million. So overall, it's really that $5 million. You've got 3 from Hillsborough County, TDC. You've got $1 million from Visit Tampa Bay and $1 million from the Tampa Bay Sports Commission. And to give you a sense of last time, just to give you a sense from 2009, I believe the contribution was $1 million from Visit Tampa Bay and $1 million from the Hillsborough County TDC. So it's really $2 million has escalated to $5 million. What other questions?
doesn't look like it.
Again, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Steve, did you have anything?
Madam
It's the
Chair.
process, I guess.
Well, hey, having never been through this before with this body, I would lean to you guys to say what happens next, how do we move forward on this? But before we get to that, if I just might add a couple things. Was fortunate enough to go down to Miami and see what they did there and the potential here. I mean, what I kept looking at was what would be the potential here. And, some of the things that I saw that I thought were incredible is what we could generate from a sense of arrival. Miami's hosted bazillion games, however, and this will be our 5th. But I feel that the sense of arrival that we could create here in Pinellas County compared to what I saw, night and day. I think there's so many touch points to let people know of the game being here and being part of the overall things that are happening. I think the footprint down there was very large. We're here, it's very small. So to get from different areas, I think is going to be easier. The interesting, Leroy was down there also with Mackenzie at the media center. And if I heard correctly from them, I mean, there were media that are super stoked about coming here. And I think, again, the opportunity to showcase this community in a way maybe that we weren't able to in 2009. Strangely enough, is go back in your mind 12 years and what was Pinellas like 12 years ago, and now look at it and all the things that we have, and they're still will be done when 2021 happens. And then I think the other element to it is, again, the opportunity to reach folks and tell them our story. And again, in a way that maybe is unique that we weren't able to do in '09, but we can do now. So I just think there's a lot of different opportunities. But the next steps on this, I wanted to get Rob here so that, again, I think some people are already asking questions about Super Bowl, but what's next? How do we handle this going forward?
Tony?
The 1.5 million, is that this year's budget, next year's budget, or some combination thereof?
I could, just from a pure flexibility standpoint, the money is used for the actual event expenses that take place as part of it. So we have flexibility from a standpoint. For example, the Hillsborough TDC is spreading it across multiple years for flexibility. So there's no huge sense of urgency that it would need to be in this budget versus next. So in terms of flexibility, we're totally fine because really the money pays for the backloaded event expenses. There are some on an ongoing basis, but there is that flexibility.
So if we chose, this could be in next year's budget, is what I'm hearing.
Sounds like it.
Makes sense, it would be in next year's.
Other questions? Yes?
Just a comment on, I believe, Rob, the last time when we went, we bid as, you were the lead, Tampa Sports was, but we were partners in it. And we committed at the very beginning 50% of the bid to try and get Super Bowl here. This time, it kind of changed on us and it was almost thrown at us. Here, would you like it?
It was a non-traditional
right.
bid process.
And because of that, you all stepped up and did it, and we did not become part of it at that time. And now we're looking to say, what do we do, and what is fair for the two counties as the Tampa Bay area, and how do we step up for it in what period of time? I think also the last time our experience was that it was really almost a Tampa venue around the stadium and everything. And today, you're looking at spreading it over the whole Tampa Bay area, the venues, which are different than it was in the past.
Yeah,
And
so
I think that
so
helps.
we showcase our growth as a region, but there's an opposite side of this equation, which is the growth of the Super Bowl. And so you're going to have this convergence of two parties that see each other come February 2021 and blown away by how each other have grown. So to your point, back in '09, I do think it was a little bit more centric from that standpoint. This time, because of the vast scope of the Super Bowl, as a region, we've got to step up and make sure that we do everything we can so that people aren't headed down I-4 to experience their Super Bowl 55 experience. I'll give you that a little bit of a sense too. I think that the College Football Playoff National Championship, that blueprint at least got things started. I mean, we had a good fortune to work with Tim on a program called Championship Beach Bash, and we did a celebrity flag football game out there that had several ESPN SportsCenter broadcasters participate in it. And a week later, they were talking trash to each other on SportsCenter with clips from Clearwater Beach. Like, that's the type of creative type of programming that I think, there's the sky's the limit in terms of making sure we showcase every aspect of this region. But I can just tell you, based off the vastness of the Super Bowl, it's going to encompass the whole region, that's for sure, and more. But the goal is to make sure we do the best job putting our best foot forward.
So I think we need to be asking Steve and the leadership here to look at the timing and all of our commitment towards sponsoring or help hosting the 1.5 or whatever that number is, and then the other venues that we can do in it. And I think also we have our fiscal year is the end of September, so we're really in next year's budget is that year anyway. So I think it could work out for us.
Madam Chairman, Mr. Higgins, explain something to me, because one of the things that you hear all the time is that the NFL really likes to control what goes on with the Super Bowl. And so, we're over here in Pinellas County. It's the Tampa's, it's in Tampa. Are you able to tell us that we would have like the beach beach bash like we had with Jesse Palmer and all those guys here in Clearwater and Pinellas County next year as part of the Super Bowl? Or is
Yes,
that going to have to be
I will-
cleared by the NFL?
I can't promise you the game would move over
No,
here.
no, we're not
but I
asking-
could
we
promise
don't have a
you-
facility
I could
for the
promise
game.
you
Yeah.
beach bash type programming will happen here. And in addition, I do think there's those opportunities from a broadcast option. We cannot tell CBS or ESPN or NBC where to go, but I can promise you if we're showcasing 3 or 4 locations, this is going to get showcased. Same thing from an NFL standpoint. If there's certain events that they have that make sense, we can't tell them where to go, but I can promise you as part of this that we will have event programming such as what you saw with Beach Bash take place. There's so many people that are going to stay over here, and we need them to feel connected and feel like their Super Bowl experience is just as good as if they're staying in any other part of the region. And we'd be doing a disservice if that didn't happen.
Well, I remember during the Republican National Convention when, people were told that their hotels were going to be, here in Pinellas County, and they were 30 miles away from the convention center. When I was visiting with the delegations, I would ask them, are you glad that you're here on the beach, or would you prefer being within walking distance of the hotel? And invariably, they wanted to be on the beach, and especially in February.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Now the goal, as I referenced, just as important as in the investment is continuing to increase the hotel block, because the more people we can keep in this region, the less people that we're going to have an hour and a half away, and opening ourselves up to some of those experiences that we never want to give people. So I think we just continue as a team to try to uncover as many rooms as possible so that we can get more people staying and enjoying these great beaches that they can.
Okay. We have a few more rooms than we had last time, huh?
But so does Tampa.
All right. Other questions about this? And
What's the
then-
normal stay? Would you say if somebody comes in, do they come in for like just the weekend, or do they come in for 4 or 5 days?
It depends on the user group. At a minimum, it's a 3-night minimum for every room in the hotel in the official block. There's some that have 4 nights, but there's broadcast crews that could be here a month. So it really just depends on which user group it is. I would say just a typical arrival, it's 3 or 4 nights.
Great.
All right, thanks again so much for the opportunity. Really
Thank you.
appreciate visiting with
Thank
you
you,
guys
Rob.
this morning.
Rob?
Sure.
So what is the process about, do we just include it in our budget talks, or, go ahead.
That I don't know. So I see Tim shaking his head, so maybe he can help provide some guidance on that.
Yeah, we would want to just simply put it in our budget request for the next fiscal.
Okay.
I think last time, the college football playoff, Rob, we spread it over 2 payments, so we were covering over 2 fiscals. We pulled out of reserves and then put it in our plan going forward, so
Okay. Well, I don't think we have a issue with
we don't, yeah, I would agree with that.
I may ask you to come to the commission just to talk about the opportunity in that.
And Madam Chair, I would consider that as a minimum, and I'd love to have Rob come talk to the commissioners, because I think all of them realize the value of the event, but I think some of the changes that they're doing and that's going on compared to '09, I think would be good.
Okay, well, have you work on that scheduling. Okay.
I think also that gives you time to meet with them on what other venues
All right.
there are possibilities and some cost estimates and so forth, and say that here's the total package that we're looking at. So, and I'm sure you need that time, Steve.
Yep.
Okay, great.
I was just wondering if Mr. Higgins needs a commitment, or at least an assurance that we're going to be approving this now, so that he can include that in his planning, or what. I don't want to wait until next fiscal year to say, oh yeah,
Right.
we're.
Certainly, I think the comfort of having a commitment sooner rather than later would be important, but I'm happy to participate in whatever process makes sense with the Board of County Commissioners however you want it to see. So it's not something that needs to happen overnight, but knowing that certainly is critically important as we budget out the event expenses, related to anything and everything that we need to do to be able to step up as a host community.
So does the board need the Board of County Commission need a recommendation from us that we would be supportive of this now? Would that-
Sure. I think you can make it. I'm not sure what the timeline for our process, and they probably would want a a presentation.
Right.
But yeah, if this board wants to make that recommendation now.
So as board members, what you've heard today, I mean, am I seeing heads nodding? Yes, we want to get more information, and again, I think some of the things you touched on, Russ.
I mean, it doesn't have to be specific, I don't think.
Yeah, but at least if we're all in agreement that, yeah, this is something we want to move forward on, we can start going through additional details and then line that up and then actually at another meeting have official vote saying, yeah, let's support this and then move forward to the BCC.
I could agree to tentatively saying to move forward on this, but I've got an issue with us agreeing today to $1.5 million based on some of the comments that Russ made and
Agree.
what are the other opportunities. So if you want me to make a motion, it would be that we'll consider this. We're positive about this moving forward, but
It's great.
we're not going to whip out the debit card yet.
Okay.
I'll put away the reader that's in my pocket. I think that would be great. Why don't Steve and I can huddle and our teams huddle and formulate some actual deliverables as part of it and scope out an MOU per se, similar to like we did with the national championship, and then get that back in front of whichever body you think makes sense.
I'll second Tony's motion.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of supporting the Super Bowl next year? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Details to come later. All righty, great. That's exciting. Okay, St. Pete Arts Alliance.
Good morning.
Hey,
Good morning.
I've never presented using this, so bear with me while I get used to it. I assume you're all looking at what I'm looking at.
Yes.
Now we are.
Now we are.
I'm John
Yep.
Collins from the St. Petersburg Arts Alliance. I'm here to say thank you. I'm not here to ask you for anything, for a change. So, thank you. And I'm going to show you why. It's not just about the money, it's so much more about creating an outdoor art exhibition in St. Petersburg and beyond, what we've been able to do last year. Some of you may not have seen some of these works, so I'm going to show you the works, and then we'll get a little bit into the investment on your return. Shine is a project designed to illuminate the power of art in public places. And I want to be mindful of your time. I'm not going to read everything that you can read yourself, but that's pretty much it. We are here to illuminate art in public places. Year 5 was this past year. This is a quote from one of our founders, Tess One. His name's Leon Bedore. Where the opportunity lies in public art is that if it's done correctly, it can be a voice for the community. We have seen that again and again and again. People are now going into the communities, and communities are asking us. Communities in Flint, Michigan are asking us for how to do murals in their community to get residents to travel from one neighborhood to another. I can tell you more about that later. This year, our Shine had 8 community events, 21 new murals. We were planning on 10 to 12. Somehow, we had a little mission creep. We had a lot of great volunteers, and we were able to pull off 21. 12 corner canvas wraps. Those are those traffic signal boxes that we all learned how to ignore when you're driving around, you don't see them. Well, just 2 days ago, we put our last wrap on a traffic signal box outside Johns Hopkins, and on that wrap on all 4 sides are 4 different middle school student artworks, and the community is agog over this. I may be exaggerating a little bit, but I think they are. Our artists are from around the world, and you can see that on the map. This is our map of where they are this year. When you go into the visitor center at the Chamber of Commerce, I can guarantee you the second or third question is going to be, do you have a map of the murals? Again and again. And so this is where we are. We've given tours. You're most welcome to come on a tour. This is one of the first ones Drew Merritt did from California. It's interesting to see how artists from out of state and out of country think of Florida and what they bring here. So he said a crocodile. We told him it was an alligator. This one from Lowbrows from Germany. You kind of have to know the whole story behind this, but this is made up as if on your computer you had a series of windows open. So you click open your windows, and this is what comes out in his version. I'll come back to some of that too. Taylor White is a woman from North Carolina and paints dancers. Morning Breath came back. They were at our very first mural festival, and unfortunately, as has happened to 3 or 4 of them now, a building was made right next to theirs. So unless you're 6 inches wide, you're never going to get between the building to see their original mural. So we invited them back. They did this mural. It's based on many different things to them, and I don't have time to explain them, but it's really, if you go on a tour, you'll be astounded by some of the references in there about St. Pete and its past. This mural is by George Anna Rose from Australia. It's all 6 sides of flowers from Australia and Florida. It's in a public park, handball court, that is bringing a lot.
This one looks so much better in person.
It looks amazing. And, yes, thank you. Taj is from Jamaica. This is one of 4 murals that I'd actually kind of happenstance, 2 on purpose, 2 happenstance about ocean conservancy. This one's called Sowing Seas, S-E-A-S. And the woman there is holding thread made out of water. She's trying to sew the ocean back together, a theme you will see coming up more and more as artists come and give us their input. Jimmy Breen and Anthony Fries did this one on the side of a building. You kind of don't, unless you know what it's about, but just basically these are all symbols of good luck. Evidently bats are symbols of good luck in Thailand or somewhere. So they put this together on this building on a developer because they're looking at murals as helping to sell their condo units. People want to live where it's cool. Leo Gomez did by freehand, Sunshine on My Mind. This is one that's certainly getting a ton of selfies. Paolo definitely came in from Mexico and did this absolutely gorgeous mural in black and white. Vitale Brothers, our local wonderful Vitale Brothers, painted this mural. It's another one that has to do with Ocean Conservancy. This is one of 2 that was funded by NOAA, the first time NOAA has ever funded murals in their history. They made theirs a cartoon version. When I asked him why, he said, our kids read cartoons. We want to educate our kids. Some of us may remember the old cartoon books where if you sent in 15 cents, you got a little seahorse that you would put in water and supposedly it would come alive. So they did a takeoff on that, and Popeye and all these images from comic books that they hope will help educate and enlighten. This one is by Retta. He actually is in Gulfport, but came originally from Mexico. This is so detailed that when you go to see it, you can look in the eyes of these people, and you'll see the artist painting himself reflected in the eyes. It's that detailed of a mural. Princess Smith is from Tampa. We saw her work at the Morean Arts Center, and we had to bring her over. This mural is on the wall out on 22nd Street South, in the Warehouse Arts District at the Warehouse Arts Exchange. And I wanted a mural there that bridged as you went from South St. Pete up to Central Ave. And so we put Princess Smith there, and she was a terrific ambassador for us. She had more people stop. Kids could come up and she'd give them a brush, and it would help them. Pale Horse, this incredible mural by Pale Horse, who was one of Chris Parks, who was one of the founding members of Shine. He's now no longer on the committee, so he was able to do a mural. If you're on the committee, we don't want to have any self-dealing there. And that is right near, on the way, if you might say, to Duncan McClellan's gallery in that area of town. Open Call with David Charlton. We ran a contest, and David won. This is what he said, where Dali meets Disney. It's very, very surreal. He moved here, like many, because of the surreal influences that have grown up around Dali to be able to study and work here. I can't begin to go into the meaning behind that one, but I'll come back to the meanings in a minute. This is the other one that was funded by NOAA. This mural, you can't really see here, but it photographs a bit 3D. And he's picked, this couple came from Portland, working with Pangea Foundation, which goes around the world painting murals about the ocean and ocean conservancy. This mural, these numbers here, when you get closer, signify places where fish are processed in Florida. They came here, they did their research, and they came up with this. It's probably one of, if not the longest mural that we've done on the Bama Sea food place. Bright Spots are murals that we did with community input. This was one of our favorites, Boys and Girls Club mural. It's on the old Royal Theater, which you may know used to be the theater in South St. Pete, where, because African Americans could not go to other theaters, this was their movie theater. And that's why at the very beginning of this train of the Boys and Girls Club Great Futures Start Here, their motto, you'll see a film reel. It starts with the film, and then it goes on from there. And behind the letters are portraits of African Americans from that community who have made it in sports and the arts. It was painted by students. It was put together by an artist who worked with the Gibbs Mural High School Club, and we had Boys and Girls Clubs do it. And this one was a gift from the Arts Alliance. Come Out St. Pete, we actually did 2 weeks before. It was a project with the LGBTQ from Metro Inclusive Health to produce a community mural. This particular artist likes to do murals like Legos, and we've happened to find this building that just had the perfect bricks to make Legos out of and paint it that way. So as you can see from the picture, we had a lot of youth paint this mural as well. Creative Clay, I think most of you know Creative Clay and their mission of working with artists, and they did this wonderful mural. The Clean campaign, these actually artists come from Tampa and the Laundry Project, and it's not just painting a mural, it's also about water conservation. So they painted a laundromat, and the day that they were painting and working on that, they paid for everybody to do their laundry. It was a community project. One of our favorites, this is going to be, I think, seen every time some plane flies over and they start doing commercials for the Super Bowl. People are going to be flying over this, I hope, to take pictures of entryway. If you look at the picture on the right, you see some white specks, but if you blow that up, those are all the snowbirds coming to St. Pete. Right? Real snowbirds. And this was done by a firm that moved to St. Petersburg last year, and I would dare say one of the reasons they moved here is because of our arts and culture. Dynasty Financial moved from New York. I gave 3 separate mural tours to them over the course of 3 separate Saturdays while they were considering what cities they were going to move to. They ended up moving here, and by way of thanks, I went to them and said, would you be a sponsor? And they actually had a national meeting here, and their folks came out and painted this for us as a community service project. And these are some of the corner canvas projects where there's art on the traffic signal boxes. We brought in a car. J.C. Riviera came in. Inside Out, our project in Shine Finale. This is an international program started by JR, who some time ago, as the story goes, won $1 million after giving a TED Talk about showing our faces, community to the world. And we worked with him. This is, as I said, it's an international project. We're the only one in Florida. And we went into the community, and we took 300 portraits. And those portraits were blown up to 3 by 5. We had some people going, I don't want my face blown up this big on the wall. But as it turned out, we convinced just about everybody to be there, into the community, into City Hall, into arts folks, everybody. And we blew those up, and over the course of 3 days, we hung them up with wheat paste, which is the really old-fashioned way of doing murals. And we surrounded this building, which is going to be the last building in something called the Factory St. Pete, which will be pretty much an arts and cultural destination in a couple of years, but more about that later. And the community came out for our grand finale because we wanted to show the community that the factory that we were moving into, that this is them, that we want to be part of them. And it went over very, very well. Why am I here to thank you for your funding? Instagram, Shine on St. Pete, grew into well over 519,000 impressions. Facebook increased to 441,000 impressions. Fun facts, we know that we counted, and this is just as of November. Since then, Visit St. Pete Clearwater has certainly blasted it out as well. But 67 articles in digital media, 19 articles in print media. We employed 43 artists. 12 of those artists have their own Instagram accounts. We had one artist from Italy a while ago, so we blast out what he's doing. But he has 250,000 followers in Italy and China, so who even knows how to count when that goes out? We have developed something called Pixel Sticks. I didn't develop it, we're working with them. Pixel Sticks is a technology on your phone. You can download the app. You can now go to any one of our Shine murals, 91 murals, touch your phone to the mural, and up will pop usually Bondurant talking to you about what that mural is all about. We're the only ones in the world right now who have this. We're the only ones in the world who, on my website, if you go to the website and click on a Shine mural, that will also happen. That was developed to help make our mural exhibition worldwide and accessible to people who can't come. we worked with two different firms, Healthy St. Pete and AARP. On our maps, it says where disabled parking is, where if you happen, in the murals language that Eugenie Bondurant reads is written by a local playwright in vivid language. It says why it is red, blue, green, whatever, in case you're colorblind. And then if you're not able to hear, up pops a screen and you can read about the mural. Again, only ones in the world who are doing this, and it's getting a lot of clicks from around the world. This, additionally, this Pixel Sticks allows us to tell how many people have tagged each mural. So now we know which are the favorite murals. We know where people are going. We have the kind of data that people need from us to show how many people are coming to St. Pete to visit with the murals. We know from what we could count and prove, we have almost 19 million impressions, thanks to Shine. So we did 16 new world-class murals, 7 bright spots. We anticipated 10,000 visitors. I know we booked over 100 hotel rooms alone because we pay to fly in the artists from around the world and put them up in the hotels. We did the 7 corner canvases, and what I would add at the bottom for you all is it continues, the benefits continue. But wait, there's more. You can go on a trolley tour, you can go on a walking tour, you can go on a bicycle tour through Florida Craft Art, and on purpose. The walking tours are from 10 to 12, because what do you want to do after a walking tour of Central Ave is go have lunch. So I think the businesses are happy with us for that. And we get many calls about how do we do this. There's our sponsors, and that's just a sort of a goodbye shot. We've been, just yesterday, I got an email that Visit St. Pete Clearwater had Destination Analytics produce a report. I didn't know this. This is like my report card. And I was like, okay, how did we do? We did pretty darn good. If I may synopsize a little bit from this. Taxes generated from Pinellas County, 79,000. Hotel room nights generated 1,320. Vacation home rentals, 209. I'll cut to the bottom. Direct economic impact of 2,078. So I think we gave you all a pretty good return on your investment. I will say that as wonderful as this all is, and we are thrilled to have worked with everybody and make this work, we won't be applying again. To your point earlier, and if there is a workshop, I'd love to be a part of it. We need the money for paint and hotel rooms and artists and airfare and insurance and lifts and things like that for our little organization to make this happen. And we now know that people are coming here for this. We find that I think maybe we could loosen the rules a little bit in terms of what is considered marketing and advertising for us. It's just too much of a bear for us to do it again. I mean, we're going to do the festival again, but what we need is I just throw that out there, and I didn't mean to spring that on anybody, but since it had come up, I think we've just decided it's too intensive on my small part-time staff to be able to make that work. And the world is beating a path to our door. So we're going to do everything we can to work with Visit St. Pete Clearwater to make that happen, and with everybody else to make that happen. But we're finding that's just an issue for us. Questions?
Do you have cards?
Just to address that, we did just change that sponsorship thing a little bit, so you should talk to us about it.
Yes, and we applied for it, and we were thrilled we got it, and I think we gave you a good ROI in many ways.
But we changed it going forward, so let's talk about that.
Oh, terrific. Well, yeah, I didn't quite understand the red type, but it looked encouraging to me.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Do you have cards?
Yes.
That'd be great, or literature.
Yeah, I also wanted to say, if you haven't taken that tour, it's really amazing. And then you see all the other ones that have been there for years. And there's a book that has them all in that's, oh my goodness, just.
Yeah, we have, by the way, recently, a gentleman who does murals in Flint, Michigan, which is why I mentioned that, came down to visit, and we gave him a tour and showed him the Pixel Sticks technology, especially. He went back to Flint, Michigan, where they have about 80 murals or so. He went to the two foundations, Charles Stewart Mott Foundation and another foundation, within the week that he got back, and he raised $200,000 to do Pixel Sticks and identify all their murals. And so we're struggling because we don't have those big kinds of foundations here to support what we do. But and I think maybe, and I may be a little bit apples and oranges here, but as I think for football, they're looking for, I believe you said back, event support. That's kind of what we're looking for, which I guess used to be called product development. I think if there's a way to merge those two things, it would help all of us do better.
Yes.
I just want to thank you, John, for your just tireless commitment and leadership in the arts community.
Thank you.
You've been brilliant. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And if you don't have a mural book, see me or call me. I'll absolutely get one to you. When we applied for the money, I didn't want to hand them out. I was afraid I was currying favor, but now I have them, and I'm happy to give you one for your office as a thank you.
Great.
Madam Chairman, in Clearwater, we're providing funding through the city for the traffic signal wraps. But we've also started, I don't know whether y'all are doing it down in St. Peter or through your Arts Alliance, the stormwater drains.
That's brilliant.
Market, giving funds to the neighborhoods. And they're actually going into neighborhoods, not just on the main streets, to paint the drains and draw attention to what should go down there and to, just make you feel
They're
good.
very creative.
Yeah.
I am jealous. It's a great program.
Well, now I was sort of jealous of all your murals. So
Well, the murals too. There's a reason we have it's Shine St. Petersburg Mural Festival. It's on it's how we branded it on purpose. It's the second Saturday St. Petersburg Art Walk. We branded that on purpose. So I think we're pretty good about trying to make sure we're using it to get the word out there about where we are. And if you haven't seen some of those stormwater drains, they are very creative.
But the county is, trying to expand, through our Creative Pinellas deal, and this is something else to keep in mind.
Well, thanks
Anything
very much
else?
for your time.
Thank you so much. Okay, subcommittee report. Yeah, we are running over a bit, but
Thank you, Madam Chair. So for members of the audience and also members from the TDC that may not have made the Finance Committee meeting, we had our very first, actually it'd be the second, but our first one under the leadership of the chair. And in that meeting, I'm just going to recap real quickly what we talked about. One is we provided a financial statement of where we are October through December. Second, we discussed at future TDC meetings getting overviews from the different entities where funding does go, like on the capital project overview, where we are to date with that. Also from the clerk's office as well as Beach Renourishment. And then we also discussed going through and getting a breakout of some of our high dollar items, mainly advertising, sales, digital, and elite events. In other words, getting a bigger awareness of where the dollars are going. We talked about our budget workshop being sometime in the first part of May, those first 2 weeks. But I think overall, I think you all agree, I think it was a great start to a first meeting. And again, the whole idea behind this is that you, as members of the Tourist Development Council, are aware of where the dollars are going and how we are spending those, so that if you are asked by the public, by anybody, that you can actually go through and say, here's what I know. I did like the commissioner's response, or as well, I just tell them to call Steve. So, but bottom line is, you as as an advisory group are informed of what's going on. So I think it was a great start to our first meeting. We'll meet every other month for finance, and then next month we'll have marketing, and we'll have a recap of finance at the next in our minutes and follow-up, and then we'll have marketing. We'll do a quick summary of that at this meeting, and then follow-up, and that way it's all out there for everybody.
okay. We are running a bit over on our time. Do we, department reports is up next. Do we want to have?
Yep, that's all online.
Okay. And your report?
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, which I think would be good. So the tourism economic snapshot that you have in front of you here, we have shortened it by several pages, which hopefully is a good thing. I'm trying to consolidate as much of this information as possible. I think what we'll look at just real quickly, if you go to the monthly market comparison, December of 2019. That pretty much gives where we are as a market on the hotels. On the hotel side, this is all from STR. You can see we were up 5.7% on OCC. ADR was up 5, RevPAR was up 9.5. We beat the state average across all of that. And I think in some destinations, they might have been better with their occupancy. However, ADR, they weren't as high as ours, so we were keeping our rate, which is always a good thing. That was for December, and you can see year-to-date, we are doing well there as well, up 2.5% off of occupancy. Our ADR is up 3%, RevPAR up 5.6%.
Hey, Steve? Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I've been pondering this for quite a while, and maybe Tim or Leroy could answer this. That our bed tax collections are, over 60 million, and Hillsborough County is what, 33, 35, somewhere in there. But this report shows that they consistently, if you look at the year, 6,169,000 room nights versus our 53. That's the STR, I know. But are there that many non-STR in Pinellas County that make up that big difference, or?
The percentage of their rooms represented in STR is going to be much greater than our totality. I can't tell you exactly what that percentage is, but because of the flagged hotels reporting into STR, they're going to be capturing close to 100%. We are not.
I want to make sure, I mentioned and everything, Hillsborough does more rooms than we do, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
How could they do that?
From that data source.
From
That's
that data
correct.
source. So it's strictly affects STR comparison.
That's correct.
Okay, sorry.
It's a good point, Phil. I mean, in trying to compare markets,
Yeah.
and again, it goes into the sample size or the census size, so there's a whole other things that all go into that. Under the tourist development tax collection, for the month of December, we were up 3.9%. In November, we were up 3.6%. Year-to-date, we're up 14.2%. So I might note that is in the late fall, early part of the winter, so we're doing well before we even go into season. The last two pages deal with home share, and at a future meeting, Leroy and I have talked, since this was a lengthy discussion last time and a good discussion over about Airbnb, AirDNA, home share, all of this combined, how we have the information, is to talk a little bit more in depth on this part. But I do think it is interesting when you look at year-to-date what rooms sold, ADR, and RevPAR is on the home share market, and it's up 21% in room nights sold year-to-date, and that is through 2019. Rate was up almost 8%, revenue per available room up 12%. So that's huge, and that's higher than it is on the hotel side. So when you look at our TDT collections, and you look at what the hotels are generating, and you look at this market and what's generating, even though it's the size of the market is not as large as the hotel side, it is still producing a lot for our community. So again, I think it helps paint a bigger picture of what's happening on the lodging side of things.
Steve, just a quick question on the rate. Is that per unit or per room on the home share?
On the RD
Unit.
Unit.
It's per unit. And again, that's a whole, how they measure it versus how you do it out of STR, not always apples to apples.
Yeah, none of the data we report on out is single room. It's complete unit or dwelling or.
Okay, thank you.
And then Madam Chair, the last thing I wanted to bring up is, and I'll have Leroy come back up, because he's going to make some introductions. Yesterday, all day yesterday, and then this afternoon, we pulled together all of our agency partners into one room. And that included BVK, included Miles, included our PR firm, included our research firm, all around the table with staff to talk about where we are, where we're going, where we want to be, some great topics. Wonderful wonderful discussion. We got out there on a few items. I think looking ahead of the things that we could be looking at from a marketing standpoint, a messaging standpoint. I think Leroy said it's the first time we've ever had all that together in one room at the same time, and we're looking at not only now, between now and the end of September, but also moving into 2021. So I'm going to turn over to Leroy to introduce the folks that are here, because I think you need to see those partners that are helping direct the strategy to increase our business.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning. As he mentioned, first time ever. It was a big day. It's a big couple days. Very excited to get all of the energy and smarts and capability in the same room to collaborate. Thank you, kudos to Steve and Tim for supporting this concept. It's something that frankly, Katie and I have wanted to do for several years and just haven't had quite the internal buy-in to break down these walls and to collaborate at the level that we want to collaborate at. And so really excited about where we're headed. As you mentioned, just going to make a couple quick introductions. First, with BVK, Brett Stasiak, president of BVK here. So to just say a couple words and introduce the team that's here on behalf of BVK.
Sure. Hi, good morning. We're honored to continue to work with the team here, and in particular to support the ambitious vision for the future of travel here in the region. And this holistic collaboration between the agencies has been tremendous, so we're excited to be a part of that. I have with me Victoria Simmons, who leads our tourism practice across the country and works on this in particular. Claudia Zellman, who's part of our advisory team in a senior role, and Pete Winiger, who's been working on the media for 12 years here in the region. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Brett. Also with Miles Partnership, Scott Bacon, who is account director. Scott, as well, make a couple introductions. I will note that we don't have the full everybody. We did have 35 people in the room yesterday. Obviously not everybody here, but make a couple introductions.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the council. I'm joined today with Janet Fusco, our executive editor and content strategist, Carrie Hoffman, our senior digital account manager, Kevin Wilson, SCM strategist, and Kayla Coe, digital strategist. Thank you very much for the opportunity to work with a tremendous team. I can't tell you how much, from the standpoint of Steve, Tim, Leroy, Katie, Mackenzie, the talent, the opportunity to represent a destination. We don't like to choose favorites, but I will tell you, working with 90 or 100 different DMOs, the inclusiveness, the diversity, the quality of the destination make it a real privilege to market, to promote, and we enjoy the work very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. With our New York City PR firm, NJF PR, Alyssa Almeida is here as well. We have a team of several back in New York City, but she was the lucky one to escape the winter to come down and represent us. Alyssa.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Alyssa Almeida. I'm representing our Team 5 for the Public Relations team. We are excited to be continuing to work with the SPC. Their team is amazing. This is a vibrant destination, and we couldn't be more proud to continue our relationship. I echo everything that Leroy has said yesterday. It was phenomenal to collaborate with all these great agencies, and we're looking forward to a bright future.
Thank you. And last but not least, Dave Bratton, who is the co-founder and managing director at Destination Analysts, our research firm based out in San Francisco. Dave.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us here. I'm Dave with Destination Analysts, and I'm here with David Reichbach in the back, who's my director of analytics and data security. We're thrilled to work with you guys. We work with over almost 200 destinations around the world, and I can tell you there's not one that's more fully committed to evidence-based decision-making, and such a wonderful place to be. And I really appreciate you having us down here, so thank you.
Thank you, Dave. And thank you to all the agencies, and can't move forward without thanking the staff. Obviously, our team members, Mackenzie, Jeffrey, Marcus, Tim, Steve, Katie, a big piece of that. I don't think I'm leaving anybody out. Tracy, again, it takes a lot of parties, all of our agencies, and a lot of great staff and energy and momentum to want to collaborate and to work together and do great things. So thank you again for the support to allow us to do that, and we're excited about what the future holds.
Great, thank you.
Like I said, it was a energetic energetic day, a lot of great conversations, and I think that will pay dividends down the road. And as we finish up today, I can tell you the consensus was that probably on a quarterly basis, you will find us getting together, even if it's via non-face-to-face, but getting together and talking about direction, what we're doing, and what have you. So kudos to staff for making that happen. Madam Chair, that's all I have.
Okay, well, we have board member comments. I just wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate Russ on his 45th anniversary with the Sheraton.
Slow learner.
And thank you for last night. We had a little Phillies welcome back last night. Anybody else have any comments? Anybody else want to get out of here? Okay, we are adjourned.